Retired Professor Ding Zelin has not always been politically active. Her activism began after a stray bullet killed her 17-year-old son, Zhang Jielian, near Tiananmen Square in the early hours of June 4, 1989.
对我来说，这份伤痛不仅没有随着
Everything seems like it just happened yesterday. To me, this trauma has never faded as the time passed. The sorrow and the pain get stronger each year as I get older.
Ding's son was shot as he and a classmate hid behind a flower bed near Building 29 in the area of Beijing known as Mushidi. He was just one of the hundreds, perhaps thousands of people who were killed when Chinese troops moved in to crush student-led demonstrations that had been growing on nearby Tiananmen Square. Ding remembers how attendants washed basins of blood from her son's body before family members would allow her to see it. She says his gunshot wound was still bleeding, even days later. She found a piece of red ribbon her son had brought back from the square on a different occasion and had attendants tie it around his forehead.
我想他是为
I wanted him to have the red ribbon, the symbol of the 1989 patriotic democratic movement, which he wore with his favorite white shirt and school uniform. The night he went to Mushidi, he was wearing a pair of sandals, but I gave him the sneakers he usually wore.
Ding's son was cremated on June 7th. She keeps his ashes at home, along with a fragment of the Berlin Wall, which came down the same year. She says her son and young Germans shared some of the same vision.
都是为了追求
These are universal values. They both were pursuing freedom and democracy.
Ding is one of the best-known members of a group known as Tiananmen Mothers, made up of parents whose children were killed in the 1989 crackdown. The group this year issued what has become an almost annual tradition, an open letter calling for an official investigation, compensation to the victims' families, and punishment for those responsible.
有的时候我们也会有意见的分歧
It's not easy with all these mothers. We didn't know each other 20 years ago. When we have disagreements, we think of our dead children, and we can quickly get over our
不
differences.
能平复
She says the Tiananmen Mothers share the same basic principle, opposition to the use of violence. Ding's life has become devoted to honoring the memory of her son, and she says this is an especially difficult time of year. Zhang Jielian was born on June 2nd, 1972. Ding says on that day she buys a festive cake to celebrate his birth, and then follows with a day of mourning right afterwards to mark the day of his death. Stephanie Ho, VOA News, Beijing.